October once again. Halloween is on the way. So, let's talk a little bit about it. Huh? You're probably aware that November 1st is All Saints' Day. It's an old Christian holiday. Someone came up with the idea that if November 1st is All Saints' Day, perhaps the night before will be All Hallows' Eve, the night when various supernatural occurrences occur. Such things as ghosts, werewolves, mummies, living mummies, and the most feared thing of all, the vampire. Well, let's start with ghosts. We're here at the St. Mark's Church, a beautiful old church, and, well, we know there's probably no such thing as ghosts. I don't think there is. If there is, it must be a very rare occurrence. Yet, whenever I'm in that church, something seems to happen. I was sitting there last week praying and meditating when I felt something that felt like a hand brushed across the back of my neck. I turned around, but no one was there. It was probably just a breeze. You know, this is a big building and breezes come through. But you know, when I looked at the door, it was closed and the windows were closed. Well, perhaps the breeze came from the belfry. Yes, that's it. Big places have a lot of air circulation in any case, and I believe this is what causes certain sensations in people. If you go to England, there are many old castles that are said to be haunted. Some say you'd really be terrified to spend a single night there. But you'll notice that these are very big buildings. They're castles. The ceilings are very high. The walls are very far apart. So there's lots of room for air circulation. Yes, that must be it. But of course, when I was in this church, besides feeling something going by, I heard a sound like, ooh. What is that sound? It must be the wind. That must be. You know, even with the door closed, there was a breeze, and it's going through a narrow thing, almost like the sound that you get from a flute. But I had the feeling that maybe it was shall I say it, a ghost saying, I've died, but I can't find my body, and I don't know how to get into the next world. What shall I do? I actually felt that, but it can't be. I mean, ghosts, no such thing. Of course, then we also have the mummy. You don't remember, but some time ago, when the mummy of King Tutankhamun, I believe he was called, was brought across the ocean, it was said that there was a curse. And several people on the boat died while they were coming across the Atlantic to be in a museum here in New York. But I don't think it's possible to have a curse 3,000 years old, or to revive a dead man who has been mummified. Of course, that movie with Boris Karloff was very convincing. You remember when he was laying with his eyes closed and then someone read the secret words, suddenly his eyes opened, and the camera went to his hand and it started moving. It was a really chilly thing. But I don't think that can really happen. But of course, in my building, there's an Egyptian family living there. There's something strange about them. They seem very secretive, and sometimes in the middle of the night, I hear a sound of a shuffling. Someone is walking across the floor outside of my apartment. Even though I don't believe in mummies, I admit that I'm afraid to go to look to see what it is. You know, perhaps it's just a drunken neighbor or a burglar, but I don't want to find out. I really don't. Well, hello. I'm just outside the St. Mark's Church, where a very famous person is buried. Peter Stuyvesant, one of the founders of New York City, or New Amsterdam as it was known then. He died in 1672 at age 80. And the interesting thing, this being the Halloween season, is that some say his ghost is still here. I've never seen it, but many people claim to have seen it. And I think that's fascinating, you know, because he's such an important person. When it comes to the foundation of New York, the most important person. I guess, who was the other one? Peter Minuet, I think, was also involved. But Stuyvesant, I believe, was the first governor of New Amsterdam. And the fact that he would care about us so much that his ghost would linger is really fascinating to me. And of course, that leads us into the overall subject of Halloween. Probably the most prominent of the creatures who pop in on Halloween are witches. It's almost like a night for witches on Halloween. Now, of course, we know there aren't any ugly old hags who fly around on broomsticks the way it was done in The Wizard of Oz with that wonderful Margaret Hamilton all painted green. But there really are people who practice witchcraft. Witchcraft is sometimes confused with devil worship, which it isn't. It's also decried as something evil, which it isn't necessarily so. There are good witches and bad witches, just like there are good and bad to anyone else. But we sometimes worry about being cursed. And when you have had a real streak of bad luck and things are really going against you, you have to wonder, could someone have placed a curse on me? You can't prove it one way or the other. Some think that good and evil are like this coin. There's a head and a tail. They go together. They're part of the same coin. The famous Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu said, when you define good, you create evil. I think it was he who said that. I know that's an old saying. But anyway, who knows? Who can say there's no witch who can cause pain? Oh, it hurts. No, please stop. Well, another creature that can frighten us is the werewolf, the wolf man, the lycanthrope, the man who turns into a bloodthirsty creature on every full moon. Very unlikely, don't you think? Although we do know that the full moon can pull the tides of the ocean. You know, they measure the tides by the moon. It does have an effect on a lot of things, but the idea of someone becoming a wolf every full moon is, of course, to say the least, it's unproven, unsubstantiated. But I must tell you, I live in a high-rise building, and I keep my windows open in the summer, and it's not unusual during a full moon that I'll be awakened by a sound. Oh! I wonder what could that be? It can't be a wolf. I live in a big city. I'm sure there are no wolves. They say some coyotes have gotten into the city, and I believe that, but coyotes are not wolves. They're not as dangerous. And yet, even though I don't hear of any people being mangled by monsters, you know, people do disappear. You know, we sometimes think, well, so-and-so just maybe absconded with money from the office that he works in, or she works in, and fled to some country that doesn't have an extradition treaty. But maybe they were devoured by a monster. Nah, ridiculous. Can't be. Well, the last and least believable is, of course, our old favorite, the vampire. Yes, I love vampire movies. They're so entertaining. And of all these creatures, the vampire is the last one that I could possibly believe in. As much as I enjoy them, you know, I just saw this one, there's a new vampire video out called Attack of the Vampire. Let's see. It says, beautiful model Loria is being stalked by a bloodthirsty vampire. Little does it know that Loria is brave and very strong. She does battle with him with her very sharp blade. The two engage in a deadly but erotic combat. Who will win? Hey, that's a pretty good blurb. Well, these are the ugliest teeth I've ever seen on any of these creatures. I'll say that for you. At least they've got some imagination here. I'm glad. I was really tired of just those two teeth. You know, they don't frighten me at all anymore. But anyway, the idea that a ghost is difficult enough to believe. Oh, excuse me. And the idea that there could be something of a living dead creature that it's like a ghost but worse, that can come and suck your blood. That's so ridiculous. Oh, excuse me, I have something caught in my throat.
Hehehehe